Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Tease Time. I'm TJ. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to do a gasket replacement on the Coleman, the Mach 3, the air conditioner unit. It was leaking inside the van and actually had like a nice little steady stream. I did have a bucket out to catch that. That has gone away because I tried to tighten it. But like the best thing to do instead of just trying to keep cranking away at it is to replace the gasket. So what I have here, I have a Steely rubber products, rubberized gasket. The gasket that I have on there right now is a foam based gasket, and I tried to be like proactive and like when I was doing all the solar panel stuff was replace the gasket. So I went with the cheaper option, the foam based one. So it didn't last too long, and so now we're gonna go and install. This is supposed to be a better quality. That's the part number right there. If you're trying to replace a gasket for your air conditioner, the cutout hole is a 14 by 14. So the process right now is I have to figure out a way to move the solar panels out of the way because you have to gain access to the bottom of the air conditioner. So that's the only problem I have personally with doing this. Like if you don't have anything like obstructing like the movement of the air conditioner, this should be easy for you. But for me, I have to figure out how to move the solar panels because they kind of overlap over the air conditioner. So I'm not going to show you that, but I'm going to get that situated and I'm going to show you how to remove the face covering for this. We'll actually do that right now. So all you do, you remove the knobs and try not to lose them. And then to gain access to the screws that secure this on, you remove these vent covers. It exposes your filters. If they're dirty, clean them. Set all that stuff to the side. And I did have this off and I put it back on just because it was hot. So I like tried to crank it down like until like the new filter or not the filter, the new gasket showed up so I could still use the air conditioner. But you just have, there's 4 screws that hold this face covering on. And before you start, disconnect your power. Don't electrocute yourself. So I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna shut that off. So that we don't have any juice because we will have to disconnect that just so I could prop it up out of the way to put the new gasket on. But 4 screws that hold that on, and then there's 4 more long bolts that hold the actual air conditioner onto the roof unit that secure it with this plate right here. So you remove the total of those 8, and then you have to gain access to your electrical to disconnect the wires so that way you can move this out of the way and change your gasket. So yeah. Oh yeah, so there's actually 4 more screws that hold this on. This kind of disperses the air to where it's supposed to go. So you don't disturb this. I'm gonna unscrew these 3 screws that hold this on, so that way I don't have to worry about trying to put a new gasket in there. So yeah, so I forgot that part, but we're getting there. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna get it done. Okay, and once you have this down, just disconnect these power leads that go up to the compressor and the electronics of the air conditioner itself. So we could do this one hand. And then that will just hang out like so. So right now, that's the hard part. And as you can see right here, when I did assemble this, it had like some overhang. So we're gonna have to adjust for that. And like the back side was pretty good. So what I'm gonna do, you can loosen these, get this in a position where it's gonna actually live, and then use a permanent marker to mark like where the gasket needs to sit. And as you can see, like for this one, it needs to go like further in. So it needs to be like behind that lip right there, because this is where it was leaking, the weak point. Like when I first took it off to inspect, I was leaking from like right in here. So yeah. So right now, I'm gonna get that adjusted and marked. And then that way I have to go on the roof and like I said, I have to gain access to the air conditioner. But like once you have access to it, that's like the hard part is just getting access, getting on the roof, and it's just marking that and then taking off the old gasket, clean that up, and then remove it. So, well, take off the old gasket, clean it up, put on the new gasket, and try not to like clean away your marked lines, because that's the important part, because you have to have the adhesive side on the air conditioner side. So just make sure it's clean and just work safe. But it's pretty easy if you don't have solar panels. But yeah. All right, so what I was doing, I'm adjusting to make sure I get the air conditioner exactly where I want it to be before I mark the line. I don't know if I want to try to see if I could just do the whole gasket from like this side of the van rather having to deal with the solar panels. Because like if I lift it up, I could probably use like some blocks of 2x4 just to get it up in the air, and I could get the old gasket off and clean it up and then put like the new gasket on. Would definitely make life a lot easier if I could do that from inside. But right now, I just want to get everything lined up with like where the mounting stuff will be, and just so that like this actually sits where it needs to sit first. And then, like I said before, we definitely need to make sure, because you can see like all of like the moisture and stuff, we need to make sure we get this further back than where it's at right now. And then as you can see right here, so like that's further than it needs to be going out. So the gasket is good, has more like stuff to bite onto, more gasket material to keep the moisture out. So I'm going to draw a line where this needs to be. And as you see, like that's further back than right there. So we definitely needed some adjustment on the gasket already. But if we could do all of this from inside, it definitely make life a little easier for me and save me a lot of time. So we're gonna attempt to do it from this side. This might be a first, doing a gasket change from this side. So as long as you have like the lines marked where you need your gasket to live, if you get it up in the air and get the gasket in and just like take the little tape off to hear it where it needs to be in place, it might be able to be done. And then you also have the leveler piece that goes on towards the tail end where the weight is. So if we could do all that from here, I definitely would be pleased. But like the tail end piece, the leveler block, I might have to do on the outside, but like I could crawl under the panels, under the wires to get to that without disturbing the solar panels. So that's like where I'm trying to like avoid right now, is just not having to deal with the solar panels. But we shall see. I'm gonna take this plate off, Mark, and attempt to do it on the inside first. So see how it goes. The gasket's on here. We just need to take into account, I'm not gonna mark this side, but it needs to be like a 1/4 inch over, or actually we'll mark it and then we'll write a 1/4 inch over. And then for this, that's gonna probably have to be like a 1/2 inch. So we're gonna do that. And we're gonna write 1/2 over from where those lines. So I marked here and I marked here. And like these lines are good on the outside, but like right here, that's gonna need a 1/4, and that's gonna need like a 1/2 going out around. So we have a better mating surface, more contact patch. We shouldn't have any issues with leaks. So we're gonna cross our fingers on that. But definitely it's good to mark, even when I get the new gasket in place, draw like a line. So that way, if you do have to replace the gasket again, it makes life easy and you don't forget where it's supposed to actually live. So moisture isn't supposed to be here. So that's where our leak was. This is a foam gasket. We're going to replace it with a rubber one. So we just got to get all that off and then just clean the mating surfaces wherever the gasket will sit. As you can see, it's probably like a little puddle where the water is pooling. Probably wasn't helping. Get all that cleaned up, and yeah, a lot of elbow grease. All right, and if you can see, there's like some high spots and like things I need to probably address, like sand that down, get that flat and level so there's not jagged edges. There's like a bunch of like these little holes, so I don't know like what was done previously, but I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna get everything cleaned up and get that knocked down. We'll get back to if I'm able to do the gasket from this side. I'm hoping I am. I'm just gonna like shift and clean, shift and clean, shift and clean till it's all clean, and then get the old gasket off also, cleaning in the middle of doing that. But yeah, just make sure you got a nice flat surface. You don't want a bunch of jagged edges. Like especially you don't want it worrying about like if I'm sliding into place, like tearing the gasket and making like a little stream for water to kind of make its way in. But let me get it cleaned up. I don't want to like bore you with that. I'm gonna get it cleaned. I'm gonna try to grind that, use a sander or something or a file to get those edges a little smoother. But yeah, it's clean time. Elbow grease. All right, so getting everything cleaned up here with those holes where I said like there's like little screw holes. It looks like they probably had an exhaust fan here before they installed the air conditioner. And I got the van that had the air conditioner already installed, so they just used the 14 by 14 hole that was here for an exhaust fan and put an air conditioner in. The seal was doing what it should have did until it didn't, if that makes any sense. These little spots you see right here, that's from the actual air conditioner making contact with the roof of the van, which it shouldn't, because these little buffing pads right here, they're supposed to be blocks, leveling blocks that kind of keep the heavy end up and off. So like when the gasket compresses and then the metal starts to actually bottom out and make contact, the seal's not really doing anything because it's lived its life. It's been overly compressed. That's where you would do the screws, like when you tighten it, don't go crazy with it. But like just over time, rubber versus foam, the rubber should outlast. It's a little stiffer, so it should keep it up and doing its job, because the gasket just acts as a compression fitting type or a compression gasket. You don't need to go crazy. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep getting stuff cleaned up here, and on the bottom of the air conditioner we're getting ready to try to do the install without having to remove all of this stuff. So I just don't want to unplug, I don't want to unscrew stuff. I just want to just see if I could do the gasket without doing that, so then when in the future if I do have to do another gasket, like I know it could be done on the inside or from the inside. So that's where we're at. I'm gonna keep cleaning. I'm gonna clean, and then before I actually put the gasket stuff in, I'm gonna go through and like clean again. So we're gonna clean like a few times and then use like some denatured alcohol, like where the gaskets and stuff will actually live. And before you put the adhesive strip on there, make sure that's clean and that the adhesive will take to it. But yeah, just keep cleaning. I'm gonna keep cleaning, keep cleaning, get stuff situated, and then we'll get to attempting to get the gasket on the bottom of the air conditioner. So yeah. All right, so this is the major imperfection, screw hole from the old vent. I'm gonna try to knock that down and get that flat. I went around, I smoothed out the other one, so that way like when the gasket is sliding, it's not gonna get torn. So I just wanted to make sure those are all good. But there's one more I missed. I had to knock that down a little bit. But that's the major one. So I'm gonna knock it down a little bit with the hammer, because you see there's like a little bit of gap and it's raised a little bit. So I'm gonna knock that down and then sand that down to smooth that out. All right, so I have all the holes that were here previously for our exhaust fan leveled out. I'm gonna take some flex shot right here, and I'm just gonna put some in these holes just so that's not like a leak point, because like there's no silicone or anything in these, they're just open holes. So like if it does, the gasket does start to fail, like as the water starts coming in, those are leak spots. all of them. So I'm gonna just take some, the seal, the flex shot, throw that in there, and then just kind of like smear it so like it's level, so it doesn't like mess with the gasket itself. And if it does, it'll just be like a little bit, and I could just use like a razor blade or something like that to like cut it, like if I do have to change it again. So it won't be a big ordeal, but the instructions say not to use like any caulk or anything else like that. So I'm gonna throw this in the hole and just make sure it's kind of like under the level where it needs to be, so we're good. Just an extra safety precaution, probably should have been done already, but I just want to make sure I don't have to do this again for a long time. But yeah, clean some more of this, and then we'll get to the gasket going onto the air conditioner. All right, so we have everything prepped up there. I just wanted to show you the difference between like the foam gasket right here, how it has like seams. There's like a hard part in there too. So if this fully compresses, then you have the hard part right there. Nothing's actually sealing it. It's probably barely doing its job compared to like the rubber one here. It's thicker. There's seamless. It should hold up better. Like I have high hopes just filling it. Yeah, so it should be good, but I think we're definitely gonna be able to get this in there without having to climb on top of the roof. It just takes a little bit more time. Definitely if you can gain access to your roof, that's the easier way to do it. So you can just be up there, flip your air conditioner over, get everything cleaned and prepped, because I had to just keep sliding the air conditioner around to kind of get to all the edges that I needed to. And this is what we have right now. We have our lines that are still marked on there where it needs to sit. So you still see some old glue residue. That's fine. It won't interfere with it actually making a bond and doing what it needs to do. We have all like the high parts taken care of. And before you go in there and like finish throwing it in, if you're doing it from the inside, take like a rag, which I already like did, and you want to just kind of just go around the edge of where like the gasket will sit, just to make sure that there's no like crud, any dirt, any leaves or anything that's going to interfere with that sealing. So once that's done, now's the fun part, getting the gasket right here into place. And then we have extra like blocks. I did put the leveling block in the back already, so that's good. And then there's extras, so just make sure like the heavy part is towards like the back of the air conditioner. You don't want to pop a wheelie, so put a leveling block. I did one going this way and this way, so it should be good. And then we're about to throw the gasket in. So it's all on the same plane, it's level, the weight should be distributed evenly. And I just like how thick it is, so it should support the air conditioner a lot better, make a better seal, and last a lot longer. But yeah, let's install it. All right, and when you're securing the screws that hold the air conditioner to the roof, don't go crazy. You could use like a drill to get them like where they need to be, but do not use those to tighten the gasket. Do it by hand so you can actually feel it compress and actually see it compress. This is what I have so far. So we're in there. It's good where it's at. It's just like you want to snug. As you can see, it starts to compress. You don't need to go crazy, and then like if you need to tighten it in the future, you can. But you just want it snug. You don't want it completely flattened, because if it's flattened, it's not doing what it needs to do. So we actually gained some height for the air conditioner also. But yeah, let me finish putting all this together and we'll be done. All right, so we have the new gasket in. It didn't like made the air conditioner sit a little taller, so it makes this not fit. This is like the little shroud or the vent. So the shroud itself is shorter, so I need to undo right here the double stick tape. Hopefully there's like enough for me to extend that further up without having to throw a new one on or ordering a new one. So that's what I'm about to do right now. But everything else is just reversal of what we did for removal. So I'm just go ahead and just get everything put back together. The only thing is just hoping that there's enough stickiness on the double stick tape also, and that there's enough height for it to still go on without having to order more parts. Because it sits where exactly it needs to sit. There's just more height because of the gasket's thicker. It's not like as compressed as the foam one. So that's a good thing. But let me see if I get that figured out, and we shall see and continue and finish putting this together and be done. And bada boom, bada bing, it's installed, it's finished, it's done. Gasket's good, it should be good. We're gonna know once it rains again, or actually when I have like the air conditioner actually going, then we'll be able to tell. Turn that off. But yeah, I have a lot of confidence that it'll do what it needs to do. I am missing like one screw that holds like this corner of the shroud on, as you can see. But everything else is on there. I'll find it eventually. I dropped it. It disappeared somewhere, but I don't know. But yeah, I appreciate you for watching. Hopefully this helped. It can be accomplished from inside the van. It just takes a little bit more effort and takes a little bit longer, but I'm just happy I didn't have to actually disconnect like the solar panels, disconnect the wires, prop those up, have to worry about them falling over and breaking and all that stuff. So all of that out of the equation made this easy for me. It could be easier for you if you actually do it on the roof. And it actually would have been easier if I ordered the right gasket the first time. So with that being said, until next Wednesday, the cheap man pays twice. I got the foam one first because I think it was like 20 bucks compared to the rubber one, which was like 60 something dollars. So yeah, if I would have just paid the 60 something, I would have saved $20. But anyways, I'll see you next Wednesday. Peace, TJ.